So this week we've been talking about the sound or. So we still have that R controlled consonant. And when it's paired with an O, so when the O is paired with the R, it makes the OR sound. Or when you see it O-R-E, we know that that also makes the OR sound. Or O-A-R, that makes the OR sound as well. For example, we have our words for this week. Born. And we have corn. These two have the OR sound. Then we also have more. And core. These have the OR sound, but we have the combination of O-R-E, O-R-E. And last but not least, we have roar and soar. And in roar and soar, we also hear that OR sound, but it's O-A-R, O-A-R. So as we're reading, keep an eye out for those words that you hear that have the sound OR, and we can check if it follows our rule. O-R, O-R-E, O-A-R. Today you're going to be using we're going to use our little tear out booklet from your squirrel book. So you're going to need to find page 239. You're going to tear out page 239, and then we're going to write on page 241 as well from your squirrel book. So if you need to pause, go ahead and pause to find those pages. Okay, when you're ready and you tear out page 239, it should look like this. So you have your booklet, you know how to fold it. Follow that line. If it's a little bit off, that's okay. So you get your page, you fold it on the line. I like to hold my finger in the middle and then slide it to the sides. So in our book today, we're going to keep an eye out for those O-A-R words, those OR sounding words. So you're going to look for those OR sounding words. There aren't too many in this story, but there are a couple, and I want to see if we can find them. So this little booklet goes with our big idea for this week. We've been learning about inventors. So the title of our little book says Good Ideas. Good Ideas. And here we have a stove and some glasses. In our inventor, Ben Franklin. Have you seen him before? What have you seen him in? Think. Maybe some of you have. So as we're reading, I want you to think about what kinds of problems. Remember, we've talked about problem and solution. Uh-oh, I'm gonna run out of room here. So usually when we have a problem, we try to find a solution. We try to solve the problem. So I've also mentioned to you that most of the time inventors start off with a problem. They think, this isn't working out for me. How can I solve this problem? How can I find a solution for it? So as we're reading, I want you to pay attention. Do we see any problems and solutions? So put your thinking hats on, smarty pants, and let's get started. First, we're just gonna read the book, and we're gonna read it a couple of times because remember, good readers always reread their books or stories. So let's get started. Anyone can invent. And we have an exclamation mark, so we need to say that with a little bit more emotion, more feeling. Anyone can invent. Ben Franklin invented a stove and glasses. But even kids can invent. Here is one true story. So is this going to be fiction or nonfiction? If it's a true story, that means it's going to be nonfiction. KK liked winter. She liked to play outside. But her hands got so cold in the snow, she wanted to spend more time in the snow. KK had a good idea. She made a fleece cuff, but it did not work too well. It still let snow in. KK made some changes. The cuff worked much better than before. Soon, lots of people wore her cuff. KK's idea was a hit. Okay. Now this time that we read, we're gonna look for any or words, okay? Keep that thinking hat on, don't let it fly away, hold it. And we're gonna read it one more time. Let's look for or words. So if you hear the or sound, we're gonna look at that word. It says, anyone can invent. Ben Franklin invented a stove and glasses, but even kids can invent. Here is one true story. Do you see any OR words or OAR or ORE? And do you hear the OR sound? I see one word. We're gonna use our red crayon for red rule. And the word I see is story. It has the OR. Or E, or. And it also has one of our other rules. Remember, when there's a Y at the end of a word, it usually makes the E sound. Story, story. Okay, let's keep reading. KK liked winter. She liked to play outside, but her hands got so cold in the snow, she wanted to spend more time in the snow. Do you see any or words? Or do you hear any or sounds? I see one word on this page also. Did you find it? The word is more. Or. So we have the O-R-E, more. And I think that's the only one I see on there. Let's move on. KK had a good idea. She made a fleece cuff, but it did not work too well. It still let snow in. Do you see any or words? Or do you hear the or sound? I see one, but it doesn't quite follow our rule. I spy the word work and I see O-R, like here. But the sound I'm looking for is or. If this were to say or, it would say did not work. Did not work. Is that a word? No, unfortunately, it's not a word, right? I don't say mom and dad are going to work. We say mom and dad are going to work. So we don't hear the or sound. That one doesn't follow our rule. So let's keep going. KK made some changes. The cuff worked much better than before. Soon, lots of people wore her cuff. KK's idea was a hit. Okay, I see two words here that have the or sound. Can you find them? Here we have the rule breaker again, O-R, but it doesn't have the or sound. So not that one. I see two. Do you know what they are? Before, or, O-R-E. And I see one more. War, O-R-E, war. So let's go ahead and read through our or words. Story, more, before, and war. Okay, you're like, Miss Cortez, we read this already. We're gonna read it one last time, just like good readers do, except this time we're gonna look on page 241, and we're gonna look for problems and solutions in their story. So our story, here our directions say, write the word problem or the word solution next to each sentence. So in our blank spaces, we're gonna decide if this sentence is a problem or if it's a solution. So let's read our story. It says, KK's hands get cold in the winter. KK made a cuff. The cuff did not work well. KK made a better cuff. So let's read our story one last time. What kinds of problems does KK get into, or what does she have? What problems does she have, and how does she solve them? Good ideas. Read it with me, please. Anyone can invent. Ben Franklin invented a stove and glasses. But even kids can invent. Here is one true story. KK liked winter. She liked to play outside. But her hands got so cold in the snow. She wanted to spend more time in the snow. KK had a good idea. She made a fleece cuff, but it did not work too well. It still let snow in. KK made some changes. The cuff worked much better than before. Soon, lots of people wore her cuff. KK's idea was a hit. So what kinds of problems does KK encounter? KK's hands get cold in the winter. Is that a problem or a solution? I'm gonna let you answer that and then we'll check our answers later. KK made a cuff. So do you think that was a solution or a problem? She made a cuff. Is that a problem or did she solve a problem? Number 3, the cuff did not work well. Is that a problem or a solution? finally, KK made a better cuff. KK made a better cuff. Is that a problem or a solution? Was it a problem for her? She made a better cuff? Or was making a better cuff a solution to her problem? Did she solve a problem? And then on this page right here, remember, this is really important, boys and girls, that you try this. But remember, you don't have to do this part. I only want you to focus on this part so it's not too complicated for you. You're gonna have a grown-up or a big brother or sister time you to read the story. The first time you read, they're gonna put your time right here. And then you're gonna go off and you're gonna practice the story. That means you're either gonna read it to yourself or you're gonna find a grown-up to read it to. And then, you know what I like to do sometimes, or I like to tell students? Get your iPad and record yourself reading. You can do that. And then you can hear yourself and see where you need to practice. So if I'm getting stuck in one word and then I watch the video and I'm like, uh-oh, I need to practice that word. So then after you're done practicing, you're gonna have an adult test you again, and hopefully the second time that you read it to an adult, your time gets a little bit shorter or you read it a little bit faster. Okay? Alrighty, Smarty Pants. I will see you in a bit.